and welcome to the podcast. My name's Michelle. I'm with Olive Two Ewe Studios. I'm typically here every single Saturday morning. There's a new video posted or a new live. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do one last week because I had COVID, but I am recovered now and really happy to be here with you this morning. If you haven't already done so, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up if you like this content, and that lets us know that you like what we're doing. I have a super exciting episode for you today. My special guest today is Jamie Lomax from Pacific Knit Company. She is the creator of the Doodle Decks that are all the rage right now in the yarn and the fiber world. Also, we're going to be talking about events coming up at Olive Two Ewe Studios. I have two prizes to give away today. One is for the 2024 Yarn Challenge. It is a prize pack with over $500, and I'm going to go through that with you today. And then also, we have our Cosy for Ewe KAL prize to give away. That'll be a $50 gift card. So we're going to get to that in just a little bit and be sure and get the winners for that happening for you. I'm very excited. Plus, I have a sneak peek of the self-striping yarn that has hit the shop from Comfy Cozy Knits in Canada. I don't have it available to purchase just yet because we're debuting it at our Solely Socks event here in Winter Park, Florida at the end of January. I think I still have a little bit of COVID brain, so I beg your grace for that. First up, we're going to go ahead and get started with our interview with Jamie Lomax. So let's get ready for that. So today I have the very great pleasure and honor to interview Jamie Lomax from Pacific Knit Company. And I'm so excited about this. I reached out to her and was really hoping that she would spend some time with me so we could learn a little bit more about all of the things she does. She's a very busy lady. And so I'm very grateful to her for showing up. So I'm going to bring Jamie on now and say hello. Hi, Jamie. How are you?
Hi, Michelle. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. I know you're way out on the West Coast and you guys are having lots of rain and all of that. So I appreciate you taking the time to spend with me. I have to say, I think that Olive Two Ewe is a little bit of a latecomer to the Doodle Deck world, mostly because I didn't know about it. And then I found out about it and I was like, that is genius. Like that is the smartest thing ever to come up with. Like, you know, no offense. I'm happy you came up with it, but I was like, duh, why didn't somebody come up with that sooner? Like it's 2025. Well, it was 2024 when I had the thought, but genius, absolutely genius thing. And not a no-brainer. Like it was not an easy thing, obviously. So I'm really anxious first. I don't know if you've watched the podcast at all, but I always start by asking just the origin story. Like, how did you get involved in the fiber community, knitting or crocheting, or however you started, and what was that evolution like?
Yeah. Happy to talk through all of that. So my name is Jamie Lomax. My pronouns are she, her. I live in Seattle, and I have been knitting since COVID, which is only 2020, and right now it's 2025. So yes, that's the exact response I usually get.
Wow.
When during 2020, I was working a corporate job and we all got sent home for COVID. We had to work remotely and learned very quickly to get on a bunch of video calls. And I have ADHD. And so what happened to me is that my hands, I didn't know what to do. I got really antsy. I was not focusing very well. There was a lot going on in the world at the time, if you recall.
Yeah.
And so my sibling had been knitting for a really long time, and they suggested that I take up knitting to keep my hands busy during these conference calls. So in the summer of 2020, I started knitting and was taking different patterns from different people. And I always wanted to modify something. I didn't like the ribbing that they chose or the increases that they had or the colors that they had used. So I was modding everybody's patterns that I was working. And pretty soon my siblings suggested I just write my own from scratch. And so then I started to play with that because then I could do whatever I wanted. So I spent a lot of time going to Google and going to YouTube and really like looking at all the things that you could do. And I published my first pattern on Ravelry in the summer of 2020, which...
Wait. I'm going to be rude and interrupt you. You learned to knit in 2020 during the pandemic.
In March, yes.
In March, and published your first pattern on Ravelry. What month in 2020?
July. Yeah, July of 2020 was my first published pattern.
So let's just say you took to it like a fish to water?
Well, that's one of the benefits of ADHD is that you can learn things really fast. You deep dive, you hyper focus,
Yeah.
and you just figure it out. And so that actually helped me a lot. I knit a couple different kinds of patterns. I have patterns in my past that are not doodles. So if you're familiar with doodles, which I'll go into shortly, much of my first patterns were not that. They were just standard colorwork patterns. I liked colorwork because it was like drawing with yarn. I felt like you could go sort of row by row and create this illustration. And my background prior to this was interior design and illustration, graphic design. I really liked the illustrative techniques that you could do with colorwork. And then in the winter of 2020, I believe, I did my first doodle pattern. So I had found some, holiday themed coffee cups and wrapping paper that were all these like festive geometrical motifs, and started playing around with what that kind of a pattern would look like. The holiday one is my first doodle pattern. And so it's a bunch of festive geometric motifs, kind of like a wrapping paper aesthetic. And when I was making it, I remember thinking like, why would someone need to knit this in the exact same order that I did? Because each motif was like 5 to 10 rows tall. So when
Right.
I published that pattern, I ended up breaking them apart into sort of micro motifs. And that way, anyone else who knit it, they could copy mine for sure. It was a fun design and I really liked the aesthetic that I had, but you could also do anything you wanted. And so that was really fun to be able to see how people would like break that apart and make their own version of it. And I got a lot of people that copied mine, but a lot of people got really creative with it. And that was super fun. I will say that was, I went back to my normal style of patterns after that. I thought at the time that it was a sort of one pattern thing. But then the next year I did the same thing with fall and autumn. I really like pumpkins and ghosts and Halloween. That's my favorite season.
Oh,
So
cool.
I brought that idea back then. And so I had my second pattern was the autumn doodle. And then after that, it kind of spiraled and it just got really, really popular. Everybody kind of wanted that style instead of the traditional style of a pattern where you just followed it exactly. So
Yeah.
then I guess the rest is history. Now this is what I do full time.
Yeah. So, wow, lots to unpack there. Absolutely amazing. So, I was curious, I was going to ask you what your sort of career background was because I guessed engineer of some sort. So, I was way wrong,
No,
but
that's
it makes
actually really cool though, because I'm not an engineer. I did do interior design, but on the technical architecture side of it. So rather than
okay.
just, paints and color, I mean, I have color theory and I can paint your house, but I worked in standards management and technical writing for a really long time. And so I would take a concept design for an interior firm and then kind of strip it down to its efficiencies and standardize it for rollout at scale. And so, I've been scaling modular patterns and systematizing things for my entire career, which is basically what doodles are.
It makes perfect sense, absolutely perfect sense. I will admit that, and, it sounds like you've experienced this before, that I'm completely blown away by in the same year that you learned to knit, you published your first pattern, but you're right, so I have ADHD as well, and I understand all of those things about hyperfocus and deep
Yep.
diving and all of that. So, unfortunately, my brain is not mathematical, so you'll probably never see me writing a pattern, but I'm always grateful for people who do. So that's neat. So that's interesting to hear that you kind of did that as a one-off thing and thought, okay, that's really cool for me, and I'm going to put it out as a pattern. And how you then sort of evolved that into what we know as the doodles today, which is huge. It's
Yeah.
absolutely massive.
So for anyone who's watching that doesn't know what I do now, maybe I can show an example.
Please. Yes.
Grab one. So this, I have card decks, this one, which are colorwork card decks that are essentially a modular stitch dictionary that you can mix and match. And so, because we'll get into how this works shortly, but what they look like is little micro charts that are printed on essentially a deck of cards. So this is the travel deck, and you can see roads and water, cameras, luggage, things like that. There's cars and vehicles in this one as well, rolling suitcases, passports, little scooters. And so this was a really fun part of the development for me because the first couple that we talked about, the holiday one, the autumn one, those were all just regular patterns. They were just Ravelry PDF. You download it, and yes, as you knit it, you could pick and choose multiple charts from a different page. You pick the order, you pick the colors, all of that. But what I was finding, all of my test knitters would do is they would print it and they would cut it into little pieces, and then they would reassemble it in the order that they wanted to do and tape it all down together. And so that what that led to is me sort of pre-printing and cutting for you in the form of a deck of cards. So that's where this came from.
I love that so much because that customization is so appealing to me because we're all different, right? So you get the chance. I mean, patterns are wonderful. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't be knitting anything if somebody didn't give me a pattern, but it's nice to be able to customize it and really make it your own. And that's what you've
Yes.
handed to all of us on a silver platter. Absolutely, which I love. So I was laughing because we have matching doodle decks.
Yes.
I've got the
Yep,
travel
the same
ones
deck.
and then all the, well, some, I guess, of the, the destinations, the
Yes.
Paris and Barcelona, Ireland. Let me find the camera here. And then, of course, the fabulous London one.
So I will
Our
say London is my favorite one of that set because I have a corgi. So you can see on the front, I snuck a corgi in there. It's technically the Queen's corgi,
the
but
Queen's
really
Court.
that's my dog, Freddie.
Oh, that's so cool. I like it. Artists are always sneaking in their
Exactly.
dogs and their cats and all of that. So I think that's so neat. So now I'll know that that's Jamie's corgi
Yep,
right
that's my
there.
dog.
That's pretty neat. Well, I have to say, so the London one was particularly popular among our folks because we do trips to the UK. And our very first trip, we actually spent a few days in London before we took off for Scotland. So,
That sounds fun.
speaking of, a little birdie told me that you've got some other destinations coming up. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. So the destination doodle is sort of a subcategory of the expansive themes that I have. So all of the stuff I have right now, they're sort of thematic sets. And so you can pick if you want to do sort of ocean or Valentine's or autumn. And so I was getting a lot of travel requests for very specific cities and people wanting to make a souvenir for their trip. And so this last fall, so fall of 2024, we released the very first destination doodles. So these are sort of micro expansion packs. Think of like Pokemon cards and getting
Mm-hmm.
those extra packs, and they were city based. So I worked with a company that has a shop. This is Knit in Ireland, Dublin, and they were doing a show in Barcelona. So we have 4 cities: Barcelona, Dublin, London, and Paris for the start. But after those came out, I got a lot of requests for more cities, and so we definitely have some in the works. I can't say which ones yet because they're not officially scheduled, but many major cities around the world are definitely getting spotlight in this. And I love the idea of being able to knit a souvenir for a place that you go. I do have Seattle and Portland as well. They're not in the same sort of format, but they're sort of last year's version of what these became. So because I'm from Seattle and I was born in Oregon, we did Portland, Oregon as well. But I would love to see lots more cities that come in here for all around the world.
Absolutely. And it is the perfect answer to a souvenir because what do we do when we travel? We buy yarn, which it's always nice to, buy the yarn, make the thing, and then you can remember. But to actually have patterns to do some color work that is reminiscent of that
Yeah.
particular location just really kind of elevates the whole process, I think. So, yeah, my brain is like all the things that you can do with Doodle Decks. Now, I know that some of the things coming up are going to be of particular interest to us as well. So I'll be watching that very, very closely. So all of that has kind of evolved and grown. You said it's kind of a full-time job now, keeps you super busy. Is that right?
Yeah, it's actually more than a full-time job. So as I mentioned, I started when I was working corporate, and I did this as a side hustle. I was earning a few bucks here and there doing patterns on Ravelry, and then a couple of years into it, I created my first Doodle deck and started distributing the card decks sort of at scale. And before, where it was mostly Ravelry patterns, which did well, but having a physical product that I could then sell and ship was huge. And so last year I ended up getting a warehouse, so I could move it out of my house. This was like, I don't have a garage, but essentially it was in my garage.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We moved everything out of my house, and then when I went on maternity leave last year in February, I took a break to hang out with my new baby, which he's super cute. But also, I got a book deal at the same time, and so I used my maternity leave to write a book. And we can circle back on that. But
Yeah, I was
essentially,
going to ask about the book.
when I got back from maternity leave, I just this was becoming my main job. This is what I wanted to do with my life. And so a couple months after returning to corporate, I gave my notice and took this full time last year. So I have this is now my full time gig as of spring of 2024. I do this every day, and I have a couple employees now that even work with me and help me do this. And we're looking at expanding even further. So definitely a full time job.
Go small business, go
Yes, I am a
woman-owned
small business.
business. Yeah, and go woman-owned business. I love it so much. You can do anything you want to do. The door is just wide
Yes.
open. So tell us about the book because I mean, I don't like to call people names, but I'm going to whisper overachiever. So tell me about the book.
Yes, I did. I wrote a book and hung out with my baby, who is very cute. And I mean, I couldn't have done it if I didn't have the break from work that I did. But it's my first book. I wrote it last in 2023, so not last year, 2023. I wrote it, and it published in 2024 in October. And so it's called the Doodle Knit Directory. I forgot to have a copy here to share, but it's on my website. You can find it. It's also on the Amazon. But I recommend buying it from me or another yarn shop to support small businesses. And came out in October. I published with David and Charles. They're actually in the UK, and it's been amazing. I didn't ever think I'd write a book, but it was such a cool experience to take what I had done in all these pieces and then sort of put it all together. It has 9 different pattern shapes, like hats, socks, cowls, mittens, fingerless mitts, a scarf. The scarf is actually really cool. I have that here.
Yes,
Um,
show us. Oh, I love it.
it's a really pretty scarf. But all of the things that are in the book, there's 200 charts, and all 9 of the shapes all work together. So it's really, really cool because you can pick exactly the shape that you want. You can pick any of the charts that you want. There's, like I said, there's 200 charts. And then there was a big section on color theory for colorwork yarns. So you can pick the colors that you want. And then, I mean, honestly, the coolest thing about the book is that all of it works with any of my card decks too. So if you decided you wanted a scooter and a bicycle in one of the patterns from the book, they all plug and play together, every single one. So it's a huge system that all works together, which I think is just so much fun.
Yeah, and it's more of that modularity like you're used to.
Yes,
It gives you that mix and match quality. Do you have any more samples handy?
I do. Yeah. So that was the scarf. This is the scarf from the book. It's sort of a seasonal rainbow. This is the Fiber Company, is the yarn that I used. It's
That's
really, really
beautiful.
pretty. I have a couple other samples. You can do socks with doodles. Here's a fingering weight sock from the book, and then a DK weight sock from the book.
And they're
All,
vastly different.
yeah, they're the same sort of pattern. I also have kids socks, so you can have little sock here. This is another kid's sock. This one fit my baby when I wrote the book. It doesn't fit him anymore. He's almost 2.
They do grow.
Fingerless mitt pattern, so you can add just like a little aesthetic. So if all over colorwork isn't your vibe, just add a little flair to the side. This is a little baby mitten.
That's
Here's
so
a kid
cute.
size mitt. This fits my older daughter. And then let's see, I've got a couple hats. Here's a baby hat. Another big hat. This is a wrist warmer, so it's a fingerless mitt without the finger thumb gusset, and then like a larger mitt. So all of these shapes that I just showed you are all in the book, and they all work with any chart in the book, it's just so cool that it all works like that. I have a couple more shapes, cowls too. So like here's sort of a standard cowl. Here's one that has penguins and polar bears on it. That one's
I
really
love the
cute.
playfulness.
A lot of what I make is infinity cowl. So this is not a book sample. This is a different one, but it's sort of a tubular scarf. And this one's fun because you get to put a lot of charts on it, and the
Hmm.
inside is hidden, so you don't have to weave your ends as much on this
Which
one.
is wonderful. Yeah.
But yeah, I have 1 million samples.
Those are all so
And
great.
they
I
all work
love,
together.
yeah, I love that. I think so many times having a yarn company and being human, as we all are, it's so interesting to me. We've got samples hanging here in the shop, and people will come in and, I want to make that with
Yeah.
that yarn. And seeing those samples just, I think it was it was the purple and the green. And it looked like it was maybe one of the autumn leaf ones, but it was done in purple and green, which to me
No,
evoked
this one.
Scotland. And
This one.
those color, yeah. those color selections, you can mix and match that. And so seeing those really help to kind of get the wheels of the brain turning. You don't have to make the thing that everybody made. All your color selections are so different and vibrant and
Thank you.
evoke different feelings. And I love that. Again, that mix and match customization quality is right there. And you kind of put that in front of us and let us be the guide and do
Yeah.
it the way we want.
Well,
And
that's sort of my favorite part of all of it is that when I was learning how to knit, I didn't want to follow a pattern exactly. I was changing things, and I was like, why aren't patterns written so that we can change more to suit our preferences? And so that's kind of my favorite thing about all of these is you can knit exactly what you want. My tagline is endless customization with one pattern. And one example of that here, I can show you. This is pretty fun. They don't actually all fit in this bag. This is a box of socks that
nice.
I've knit. All of these are colorwork socks, and I've got a whole bunch more. Every single one of these colorwork socks, these are all Christmas ones, are all knit with the exact same pattern, the same actual shape pattern. And I can show you what that looks like. So it looks like this. I have a sock pattern, and then I have thousands of charts. We counted recently. There's over 1,000. So every sock in that box is basically the same shape with different charts.
That's
And
wonderful.
they look
One of the
completely
first
different.
Yeah, absolutely. Color selections, charts, the whole thing. But what's nice about that though is that you get to know the pattern. I mean, oh, that's adorable. How many times do we like to reach for the same pattern because it's familiar? And
Exactly.
now you get to do that without having to learn construction of a sock all over again. It's just color work. It's just different color work.
Exactly. And I love how different they can be. So like this one, it looks completely different. This one, most of the sock is just like a plain vanilla sock. There's a tiny little motif here on the edge and then one kind of featured one on the top. This one, let's see, the gingerbread one, I love this one, is really fun up top and then more simple on the bottom. This one is more similar to some of my other patterns where you're just like a bunch of motifs
Love
throughout.
that.
But some of my favorite ones are actually just repeat the same chart like this one. This is one chart just repeated across. So it's just the sheeps all the way through.
I love
Um,
it.
but every single sock is roughly the same shape. So you're still knitting, the cuff, the heel, and the toe, and then you just do whatever you want in between.
Exactly. I love that particular sock. So our Facebook group for all of our folks is called the Yarny Ewes. We've been around nearly 8 years. And so sheep are always extremely popular with the
Yes.
Yarny Ewes for sure. And one of the first things I did when I brought the Doodle Decks into the shop was get the pattern cards, the brochures, because I
Yes.
think they're just so helpful. And then of course the brochure that just kind of explains the system. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
There.
so that this was an evolution last year. So originally what I had was the charts. And so my doodles come in 3 steps. You pick your shape, you pick your charts, and you pick your yarn. And so for a long time all I had was the middle part where you pick the charts that you had, so all the doodles that you put on them. Then last year we came out with blank shapes. So we knit a bunch of basically blank, you know, typical patterns. These are vanilla versions of everything.
Mhm.
And they're all written and sized with their stitch count to work with all of the doodles. And so now you can pick any shape you want. This is a scarf. This one's really fun. And next, I will do some more development with color and yarn, but we'll see where that goes.
Super fun. And correct me if I'm wrong, the charts all work within a 24 stitch count pattern. Is
Yes.
that right? Okay. So that's what makes them so modular and so mix and match. All right.
Yes. Yeah, they're
Perfect.
all 24 stitches. And then a lot of them are even work smaller. So this isn't one example. You can see that the whole thing is 24, but it's actually 12 because the same charts are at the beginning and the end. Let me see if I can find. And whereas like this one here, this is a full 24 chart. So this needs all 24 stitches, but something like this one where you've got a half chart at the 12 stitch size works really well if you're doing a sock or a mitt because your circumference is smaller. It gives you more flexibility with sizing because you don't always want to have to add 24 additional stitches just to go up a size or down a size.
Right.
So
Right. So
I
you really
recommend the
thought of
12 stitch ones for socks.
You really thought of everything. I love that brain. I love that so much. That's a wonderful thing. So you have two children? Is that what I heard?
I do. I have a 7-year-old and a 2-year-old.
All right. So that's great that you're able to do this. It's interesting. I was talking to somebody today And I've had a really busy couple of days. And I said, I think some people in my life don't realize how busy I am,
Yeah.
because oftentimes people think, well, you get to stay home with your kids, or you get to, you work from home, or, and maybe you don't anymore. Maybe you have an office now off site, but working from home is still working, or
Yeah.
it's still a job. There's no way you could produce everything that you produce and be, sadly sitting with your baby all day. You can't sit
Yeah.
with him all day if you're producing, but at least maybe it gives you some flexibility,
I think
which is
that's the biggest thing for us is the flexibility that self-employment provides. Before I was beholden to a 9 to 5 in the office. And that was just a lot of my time, a lot of commuting, a lot of expense, and a lot less time with my kids. But now, because it is flexible and I do work from home, this is my home office. I also have a warehouse offsite, but it gives us hours and hours and hours more every week with our kids, because I do work probably 32 hours a week, but then the other time I have flexibility to get laundry done and do the dishes and pick them up early, or volunteer for a chaperone trip with my daughter. So it's been a life changer, honestly, being self-employed.
that is absolutely wonderful. Okay, do you mind if I rapid fire some quick questions to you?
Yeah, let's do it.
Like just quick answers, quick questions. What's your favorite weight of yarn to work with?
DK.
DK. What's your favorite color? Ooh,
I like I like neutrals and neons.
okay. I know you like socks. What's your favorite shape overall?
And I like the infinity cowls because you get to play with more, play with like a long expense, kind of like a giant swatch. So the infinity cowls are really fun.
Those are your favorite. And any particular needle type that you prefer? Not necessarily brand, but like, do you always use circulars? Do you, that
I
sort of thing?
use interchangeable or fixed circulars, metal or wood. Honestly, I just have like 40 of the same, 16 and 24-inch size 5 needles. Um, just because I have 100 whips going at any given time.
Yeah, I totally, totally get that. And are you a selfish knitter or a gift knitter?
I don't have time to gift knit, but I also am not a selfish knitter. Everything I knit is for work. And so I'm a work knitter.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Have you
But
ever taught
no,
anybody how to knit?
I have, yeah. Before I left my corporate job, I was teaching a couple of my coworkers how to knit. I'm teaching one of my kids' friends' moms how to knit. I don't teach knitting classes like how to knit. I teach how to doodle colorwork classes, but I'm hoping to offer more classes on how to doodle with yarn and knit in doing so.
That makes perfect, absolutely perfect sense. We've had a lot of discussion lately about children learning to stitch or play with fiber. I've got a close friend who has a granddaughter who's about 5 or 6, and she's not yet ready to knit, but she has a weaving chair that she
That's so fun.
uses with all the fiber just to do things to get used to it. And she plays with all the various equipment appropriately until her grandmother feels like she's ready to do it. Have you had a chance yet with your older child to kind of introduce them to that at all?
Not quite yet. I think she will be ready soon. From I've heard a lot of people say that about 9 is a really good age to really start to knit. She plays in my yarn office all the time. She likes picking out colors with me. She helps me draw. So when I come up with new ideas, I draw out thumbnail sketches to figure out the types of motifs, and she gets really into that. She's very illustrative, like my mom or her mom, me. And she loves to play with the colors. She plays yarn shop, so she'll take all the yarn off the shelves and make a little shop, and then I'll go shop it like she has a store. And then my 2-year-old likes to unravel all the yarn, so that's his job, is to pull it out of my bag and I'll tangle it up.
That's his job. That's his occupation. I
Yeah,
love
he's good
it.
at
Well, it's either that or a dog. I know some people have dogs that do that all day long. So better your child than your pet.
Yeah. For my dog, my corgi leaves the yard alone. He's pretty good.
And remind me your corgi's name again?
Ready.
Freddie. That's so cute. I love it so much. It's neat when your life can really influence your art and what you do. So, what's next for Doodle Deck?
Yeah. So I took a little break through December, which is actually really nice for the first time since I kind of took this full time. I took 2 weeks off, and that was amazing. Partially due to having employees now, somebody who could answer my emails and ship while I was gone. But now we're back into the swing of things with 2025. And the first new deck that's going to come out this year is the Sports Doodle. That one's really fun. Actually, I have it over here. I can show you.
Oh, let's see it.
So this one is really cool. My husband's super excited about this. He's a sports guy. But this one is all sorts of, I would call it sports balls. So we're going to start with the balls. So it's got basketball, football, tennis, baseball, and soccer. And so those, and then the stuff that goes with it. But this one is almost done. It's in test knit starting this week and will release in February. So that's the first one of the year. And then the next one after that is going to be a pets themed expansion set that's going to have some dogs and cats in it. That one I'm still working on, so I haven't anything to show for it, but it's going to be really, really cute.
That's very exciting. And again, it's nice that it's encompassing so many parts of like hobbies and life so
Yeah.
that, people who do have time to gift knit, which I'm a selfish knitter, it's terrible. Everybody knows that. But mostly because I have a yarn shop. And so all my knitting kind of has to be in that
Fair.
realm. But so that no matter what hobby somebody has, you're able to customize something completely for them, which I think shows your thinking of them while you're gifting. You're not just picking something up off a shelf. Not that that can't be thoughtful, but knitting something certainly takes more time, and being able to personalize it through the method that you've given us is really special. I think people know that you really care when you're able to do that.
Yeah. I will say one of the things I like to tell people about doodles is that it makes great gift knitting because you can pick the shape of what your person wants. If they like socks or hats or whatever, you can pick the colors that they like. You can pick the order and charts that you like, and you can make it as full of color work or even just like a little motif on the edge, just make it more subtle. You can do anything, right? So you can customize it exactly to the person that you're gift knitting. My friend, I just knit her whole family stockings this year using the doodles. I have a base pattern for a stocking that works with all my charts. And so she did ocean for her. It's got all sorts of like sea animals. And her husband is really into Arctic animals. And then her son wanted fantasy. And so she had custom stockings that she made up for her family this year in exactly the theme that they liked.
Perfect. That is absolutely perfect. It's so incredibly special.
Yeah.
So one of the things I ask people typically as we near kind of the end of our time together is, do you have any parting shots? Anything else you want to share about what you do? I'm curious, though. I did have one more question. Do you have hobbies aside from knitting? What else do you like to do in all your free time?
Oh, well, honestly, so because my older daughter went through COVID with us when we had to work from home, and the daycare was closed, so she stayed at home with us. We actually have a pretty strict rule in our house that we don't work in the evenings or the weekends. We don't get our computers out. We don't do anything that is kind of against, not playing with them. And so honestly, when I am off work, we are playing Mario Party with the kids. We are building Legos. We are drawing. We are, we're playing with the kids. My hobby right now is my kiddos.
Yeah, I love that. And that's so smart because I think people who have their own business, especially work from home businesses, it's so easy to slide into working
Yeah.
24/7. You're on the couch, you're answering emails or text messages or trying to take care of customer service or developing new products. And I
Yes.
really give you a lot of credit for recognizing from the get-go that you wanted to separate that time and prioritize your family. That is amazing. And what a great example for all of us who have our own businesses, because that's a real difficult thing, finding balance. So you have like struck gold there.
I will say because I have ADHD, and I'm sure you experience this too. My brain never stops working. So I think about work a lot, but we are very conscious, my husband and I, that we don't do work things in the evenings. And we also don't do like personal hobbies as much in the evenings either. So like he, has his video games. He likes to bowl and golf, and I like, I have other things, but we still try not to do things just on our own when the kids are home and awake. So we want to spend the time with them.
That is absolutely perfect. Jamie, thank you so very much for being with us today and sharing with all of us all about the evolution of the Doodle Decks and your business. I'm still just absolutely blown away by the fact that it was such a quick thing for you. So that
Yeah.
is fantastic. You're quite the model. A lot for many of us to learn from that. So thank you for taking time out of your schedule, and I so appreciate it. So be sure to check out the show notes below. We've got her social media there and her website, so you can check out all the things as they continue coming from the great mind of Jamie Lomax. Thanks again, Jamie, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah.
Bye
Thanks so
bye.
much for having me.
Bye bye.
Bye.
All right. That was fantastic. I really enjoyed meeting Jamie and learning a bit about her. I hope you did too. She is full of energy. And for me, as you know, I found super surprising her origin story and the short length of time between when she began to knit during the pandemic and then the same year releasing her first pattern on Ravelry. That to me is so amazing. Like, I just don't have that kind of a brain. But it's always so interesting to me to get to know people in the fiber world, to learn their origin story, see where they've been, where they're going, and all the creative things that they're doing. So I hope you enjoyed that interview. Okay, let's get to it. I'm going to go ahead and show you a couple of things that are brand new in the shop today. You can tap the shop link down below in the store here on YouTube on the channel and pick up these things. First of all, we did debut this week our 2025 Cancer Awareness Series. We're very excited about that. The American Cancer Society has a calendar where each month different cancers are highlighted for awareness and education and support. And so, what we've done is gone together and developed colorways based on the colors for those cancer ribbons. Each month, you'll be able to purchase that hank of yarn. You can select multiples if you like. We're offering it on our Twain and Play-Doh bases, along with our Alcott and Hawthorne minis. So you get the choice of a fingering or a DK weight yarn. I'm going to show you really quickly. I'm sitting on the orange couch today because I'm vending at Distaff Day in Orlando, Florida this weekend. And so there's no yarn on the shelves here. So I thought I'll just sit on the orange couch today. So this is Teal There's a Cure, and it's a little distorted by the light. I don't have great light in this setting, but you can see this beautiful teal and white colorway. The cancer color for cervical cancer for January, which is what we're highlighting this month, is teal and white. Now, Anne from Twin Mommy Creations created the stitch marker that every single 100-gram hank of this colorway comes with, and it is a solid teal instead of the teal and white, but we loved that color. So there it is on Twain, which is our fingering weight yarn. And then we also have it on Play-Doh, which is our DK weight yarn. Each 100-gram skein, in addition to receiving the stitch marker, the coordinating stitch marker with it, you're also going to receive a small business size card that gives you a little bit of information about the highlighted cancer that month, and then a QR code that will take you to our website for much more detailed, comprehensive information, along with links for resources so you can learn more about that particular cancer. Education is everything. The more you know, right? And so that's what we're trying to do. With those colorways, 25% of our profits from those will be donated to the foundation or an organization in support of that particular type of cancer as well. So together we can kind of weave our efforts together to create more awareness, more hope, and more dollars for research to try to knock out those cancers. So we hope you'll come along with us in the fight against cancer for 2025. Now, many of you have reached out to me and asked if we can set up a way that you can purchase them all at once for the year to be sure you don't miss out, or a subscription. And I'm working to make that happen. Be sure to watch our website. And as soon as that's available, we'll post on our social media and our website so that you too can get in and either elect to purchase an individual hank or an entire subscription to be sure that you don't miss out during the year and you can have the whole collection. So I'm very, very excited about that. Terry and Sherry from Lonesome Pine Yarn Works, the exclusive dyers behind the Olive Two Ewe brand, are the ones who came up with that idea, and I loved it. We were definitely all of the same mind, and our Yarn Use group on Facebook is always very caring about people, and we knew that you would be interested in it, and that's been true. So far, it's going like gangbusters. It is, some of the bases are already sold out, in fact. So you definitely want to click below or up above if there's a card here and go ahead and get that hank on its way to you. So that's one of the things that's new in the shop. The other thing that's new is we have a brand new black that is super rich and deep, and I think you're going to love it. This is our new pitch colorway. It is, again, it's a little faded out by the light here, but it is a really rich black. It is tonal. Hand-dyed yarn solids tend to be tonal, but I think you're going to love it. Black is a great color to have in your stash, just as a sophisticated neutral, but also up against bright colors, it really helps them to pop and sets them off. And so we've got this, and then I wanted to show you quickly the wolf yarn, which is one of our most popular bases. It is gray alpaca, silk, and cashmere. It takes up the dye a little bit differently, and we have pitch on that colorway right now. The wolf yarn has a black label because it's a more elevated luxury yarn. All of our yarns are luxury, but the wolf is definitely a step above. And so it has the black label, but there it is. This is pitch in that. Because the base of wolf is gray naturally, it does take the color differently. So it's a slightly different shade of black, but it too has its own beauty, and it is absolutely gorgeous. This week, we also updated some mini colors. I'm going to grab them over here for you off the couch where I have them. See, here we go. Oops. The Cancer colorways are also available in minis. I mentioned that. The mini hanks do not come with the stitch marker or the card. I just thought that you might want those to complete projects or have pops of color and didn't necessarily want to include those. Let's see, do I have, there's the hot pink. So we've got hot pink, that's screaming pink, in the shop this week. We have pitch, of course, on the minis. And then we have this beautiful oxblood colorway, which is a really interesting red. It's not showing up perfectly on camera. You'll want to check it out on the website so you can see the actual color of oxblood. So those are our shop updates for this week at Olive Two Ewe Studios. So let me mention a couple things. Today, we are vending at Distaff Day in Kissimmee, Florida. So our online shop is actually closed today, which is Saturday, the 11th of January. But if you're watching this another time, our online shop is most likely open and you can absolutely do your shopping. While you're there, you want to go ahead and sign up for our newsletters. That goes out every single Saturday morning at 8 a.m. and gives you all of the latest updates, links. You can know what's new in the shop, events, and all of those sorts of things as well. But today, if you're watching on Saturday, January 11th, the shop is closed, but I plan for it to reopen tonight or tomorrow on Sunday, depending on how the timing goes from Distaff Day. So be aware of that. You can watch our social media for the opening if you are watching on a Saturday. So really quickly before we get to the giveaways, I want to give you a sneaky peeky of the self-striping yarn that is currently inhabiting the shop, but it's not on the website just yet. I'm so very excited about this yarn. I searched high and low for self-striping yarn that I absolutely fell in love with and that was really, really quality yarn, and I found it. Comfy Cozy Knits out of Canada is the dyer behind this yarn, and I've still got it in the bag, so you're going to see some different combinations, but I want to give you some sneak peeks because after Solely Socks here, January 25th, what is remaining will be on the website. So how beautiful is this? This is the Interstellar colorway for self-striping. You're going to hear some cellophane making noises here. This is the Cliffside colorway. I love all those colors. You've got like that teal, kind of that mustard. You've got like a white in it, a natural color, some kind of not limes, but kind of a lighter mustardy color. And the combination is gorgeous for Cliffside. I was pulling these out of the box, and I have to tell you, I was like, okay, I just want to take 3. And then I couldn't stop at 3. And I didn't bring them all, though. There's lots more colors here, but there's quite a few. Neon Brights is a super fun colorway as well. That's Neon Bright. This one is more subtle. This is beachy. It definitely has a beachy look. That's this colorway here. This one here is the Beat Goes On. So you can see those are different colorways. The Beat Goes On are these brighter colors, and beachy are these really subtle colors. And I know we've got some customers that love, love, love those beachy colors. All right, 2 more bags, and then I'll stop myself. Simply the Zest. How perfectly named is that? Simply the Zest. Like a citrusy lemony with some really subtle speckles in it. and then some gray tones, and then one more. One of the things that we tried to do when selecting these yarns was give a really nice representation of lots of different color families, because self-striping yarn, some folks tend to all just the brights, and I loved that Comfy Cozy Knits offers sort of palettes across the board. So you've got more masculine palettes, you've got brighter palettes, you've got more subtle palettes, and I really like that. So this is tea time, and if you know anything about me, I'm a huge tea drinker. This is tea time. So again, you've got those browns, dark brown, light brown, kind of latte colors, kind of those cream colors, and it's really beautiful. Trust me, there's a big box over here that I'm looking at full of a ton of different colorways. We've got 15 different colorways, 4 of each colorway in the shop for a total of 60 hanks to begin with. And then I'll, of course, be restocking those as time goes on. So if you're coming to Solely Socks, that's our event here in Winter Park, Florida on January 25th. That's where we're going to be doing a day full of socks. We've got sock crankers coming, hand sock knitters coming. We've got a sock dank, see, COVID brain, a sock blank dye experience happening that day. We've got various demos of Fleagle Heel and some other demos for you to kind of ramp up your sock knitting. We're going to be offering a self-striping yarn bar, and you can elect on the registration to choose 1 serving or 2 servings, and that gets you a hank of self-striping yarn, 2 minis, and then various sprinkles, which include things like stitch markers and small tools. And then we do have a lunch option available. Just your registration gets you a really cool exclusive tote bag for the day filled with a couple of small goodies just for your registration and coming that day. You do need to register in advance for Solely Socks, but that's January 25th. It is 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. here in Winter Park, Florida at Needleworks, which is our community crafting space. You can check it out online and get registered. Okay, let's see. Distaff Day, Solely Socks, our Scotland trip is filling up. We're at 29 people for the Scotland trip. I'm probably going to cut it off at 32. The trip is confirmed, so we're very excited. We'll be headed to Scotland in September into October 2nd is the last day of the trip. And if you'd love to join with a great group of people, this is the trip you want to go on. We take folks to areas of Scotland that the big tours don't typically do. We introduce you to sheep. We're going to have a hands-on Highland Coo experience, afternoon teas, all sorts of fun. We're going to be doing a workshop at a local yarn shop there in Glasgow, along with other experiences that I think you will absolutely love. Lots of people are coming, and there's plenty of room for non-knitting friends or spouses. We've got several male spouses coming along with their wives as well, and the guys always have a great time and have plenty to do. So if you want to get on that, I recommend that you go ahead and go to our website, just search Travel to Scotland, and you can pay your deposit, get your information, and get ready to go to Scotland with us in the fall of this year now. Gosh, it's hard to believe it's 2025, but it absolutely is. Okay, so we've got prizes to give away, and I'm really, really excited about this. The first prize we're going to give away is the Cozy for You Challenge. Our good friend, Karen Burnett from Scotland, who's a wonderful Scottish pattern designer, designed this pattern for the yarn I use. It's called Cozy for You. It is a KAL pattern. I'll make sure and link it down in the show notes so you can click on it. And we did a little challenge in our Yarn I Use group. We're always doing knit-alongs and fun things. And folks went knit that up. It's got sheep on it. It's got snowflakes on it. It's a really fun KAL. And thank you to all of you who posted your pictures of your FOs and your whips. It's always fun to see the color combinations that you choose. So our winner for the $50 gift card for the Cozy for You KAL is Jamie Laurent. Congratulations, Jamie. I think Jamie did at least 2 of the KALs, and they were really, really beautiful. Today is a bit of a truncated episode because of the vending event. Otherwise, I would have shown it. I'll try to get that up in our whips next week. So congratulations, Jamie, for winning the Comfy Cozy KAL knit along experience. Next up, 2024 was another challenge for the entire year, and the goal was to knit 12 different projects, but we made the suggestion of what the projects needed to be, including one felted project, which is a little more of a challenge, I think, in some ways. But we had things like a sweater, socks, multiple things, some home decor items, and that sort of thing. And there were a few of you that actually completed the entire challenge. So, first of all, I want to say congratulations to all of you for actually completing the challenge, because that was a year-long endeavor and it was a lot of work. So, congratulations to you. I hope you're enjoying all of the things that you made during the 2024 challenge. So, before I announce the winner, I'm going to show you a little bit of the prize pack. It is huge. It's sitting over here. You can see part of it on the orange couch with me. It's big. Lots of really, really pretty yarn in this. Gorgeous yarn, along with a bag. You can see the bag there. Social knitting is really cute, the bag. And then we've got some Cocoa Knits notions. We've got, let's see, some stitch markers. We've got enamel pin. We've got some tags, some gift tags, and items like that. Some fun knitting magnets. We have several pom-poms in different colors, highlighter tape, another flight of stitch markers from Cocoa Knit, sweater brush from Cocoa Knit, so many things, and really beautiful yarn. So this is Over the Top from Olive Two Ewe Studios, Over the Top colorway. We've got On a Roll colorway, beautiful. We've got Flower Power in here, along with, gosh, so many other ones. Troll Hunter. Let's see here. Lots of minis as well. In the Groove. So many hanks. So we've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see here. Here is Barry on our wonderful Homer base. Yeah, lots. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 600 gram. No, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 700 grams in 100-gram hanks. Lots of minis in here. So many minis. Here is Hummingbird. Lots of minis in here. Prize pack valued at over $500. So I'm so thrilled to give this away. It's been an exciting year for the 2024 challenge, and I cannot wait to give the prize pack away. So without further ado, I'm going to announce the winner. The winner of the 2024 challenge, chosen at random through a drawing, and congratulations, as I said, to everyone who completed it, is Carol Burdett. Carol Burdett is our winner, and we'll be shipping this prize pack out to you next week. So thank you so much for all of your participation in the 2024 challenge. I hope you love it, Carol, and I hope all of you really enjoyed the challenge and maybe challenging yourself to new techniques or new types of shapes that you've not done before, or something a little bit new. I suspect that you did through 12 different projects for 2024. So for 2025, our new kind of project or challenge is our whip off. We're trying to encourage everybody to finish their whips. You can absolutely check that out down in our shop as well. There is a registration fee, but there's all kinds of fun things that you get with that to help challenge yourself to finish your whips this year. And there was a little controversy. What counts as a whip? Well, if you start something, it's a whip. So they can either be whips that you had carrying forward into the new year, or they can be whips that you start this year. Whatever works for you. I want the challenge to work for you and encourage you to get things done. We've all got, typically, unless you're really good, we've all got project bags kind of hanging around and languishing with a project we started and then kind of lost interest in, or maybe we hit a technique that we didn't feel comfortable with, and so we put it aside and began working on something that we did. Maybe use this year to go up against those barriers and learn those techniques so you can finish those whips. Or maybe it's been long enough that you've already encountered those techniques in other projects and barreled through and learned them. And now you'll go back to some of those and it'll be easy peasy. So use it however you want. I'm very excited about it. There's stickers, there's all sorts of things. If you signed up for that, you're soon going to be getting your first month, January, the tracker downloadable delivered to your inbox very soon. And then you can expect a package in the mail, a small package with your stickers and all of your things to keep track of. And then we'll have a special thread in the Yarn to Use where we hope to see your trackers posted so we can keep track of everybody and encourage each other in the Yarn to Use. Speaking of the Yarn to Use, if you haven't already done so, I invite you to join that Facebook group. There's no drama, no politics, and it is absolutely loads of fun. There's lots of stuff happening on the horizon for Olive and Two Studios, some fun changes coming, some exciting things happening, and I hope you'll stick around for it. Stay tuned. If you haven't watched our previous videos where I'm interviewing people in the fiber community, I think you'll really enjoy them. So I encourage you to watch those videos, and I've got some exciting guests on tap for the future, as well as some really exciting topics. So definitely stay tuned. I invite you to subscribe. Thank you so much to all of you who reached out while I was ill. Feeling a lot better now, and a lot of that is because of your encouragement and keeping track of me. I feel the love, and I'm so very grateful for this community. So I hope you are having a wonderful 2025, and I will see you next week right here on the channel. Thanks so much. Take care. See you soon. Bye.